Want to hear a fact I didn't realize and made me do a double take? The last big Batman game, when you don't count like the VR Arkham spinoff we got a couple years ago, was Batman Arkham Knight in 2015. I didn't realize it's been that long. That was, however, until the newly released LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, which feels like a true return to form for Batman and possibly being the ultimate Batman video game, but in LEGO form. And after playing it and finishing it, I mean, it's not the best Batman game ever made, and it's not perfect by any means, but it is a great love letter to the beloved Caped Crusader. Hi guys, MiiKcast here, reviewing today LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. Now before we get started, you know what to do. Be sure to like the video, subscribe, hit the bell, leave a comment, or I will wreak havoc in your city.
I got you!
Starting off with the good, LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, like I alluded to in the beginning, is a genuine celebration of Batman in LEGO form. The sales pitch for this game, or at least how I interpreted it, is this game takes from all of Batman's lexicon. Movies, shows, comics, games, and implements elements of each. I'd say most of the characters are based off of their portrayal in The Batman. For example, Jim Gordon is very much like Jeffrey Wright's Jim Gordon, while the gameplay and open world, two things I'll touch more on in a bit, have more of an Arkham feel, while taking storylines from other movies, shows, comics, and games. One major thing being the origin of Joker, starting as Red Hood, the original Red Hood, and becoming the character we all know because of that, chemical incident that happened. But now onto the gameplay. I alluded to this earlier, but this is sort of the unexpected follow-up gameplay-wise to the Arkham series in terms of combat, exploration, and open world. Which sounds crazy until you learn that Rocksteady co-developed this game, but it's still crazy that it took a LEGO game to get there. But still, the combat is really solid, and it feels different from other LEGO games. I know I've already said this many times, but it really feels more like Arkham combat more than LEGO. Stuff like stringing together combos, swapping between enemies during combat, then a cool slow-mo final blow, bars, it all just feels like Arkham. But I mean that in a great way, that's a good thing. But aside from the combat, there's obviously more to the gameplay. Batman can do things like grapple and glide with his cape, all of which make things like exploring the open world a lot of fun. And speaking of the open world, Gotham City is always a really solid open world for any Batman game, and Legacy of the Dark Knight is no different. I will admit, there isn't really too much to do in the open world aside from finding hordes of thugs to beat up and occasional side quests, but free roaming is a lot of fun. And plus, this open world might actually be bigger than the last game in Arkham Knight. Think about that. Not to mention, it's also just fun to drive around in the Batmobile, crashing into stuff and earning money. And that's another thing. Since it's a LEGO game, you want to just break shit and earn money. My ADHD OCD brain can't move on with the level until everything that is destructible is destroyed. But the game rewards you when you do that. There's a shop in the Batcave where you can use the money to buy stuff like costumes and other stuff that I didn't quite care for as much, but costumes, baby! And that's another thing. Just about every character you can play as, and that's something I forgot to write down, but there's a lot of characters in this game and they're all pretty cool. I touch more on that later, I guess, but not here. But every character you can play as, there are many unlockable costumes for them. I'll talk about Batman in particular, as again, to this being a love letter to Batman, he's got so many costumes that span across all versions of Batman, and it digs deep. He's got a Batman Ninja costume, a Grey Ghost costume, a Rainbow Batman, a costume that is a reference to the Batman NES game where he's pixelated and purple like his sprite from that game, plus some original stuff from this game, and it's great. And it's one thing that gives you an incentive to go back to each mission and try to unlock all the costumes, or just keep playing after you finish the game to unlock each costume. And speaking of which, since this is a LEGO game, let's not forget that there are many collectibles throughout the game aside from just costumes. There's the mini kits that you can find, mainly if not entirely in the Batcave, but throughout each mission there's red bricks. There will be like maybe a tree or a cake where you can find chunks and pieces of them throughout the level that you can collect, and it just gives you an incentive to keep playing. The thing about LEGO games is when you beat the game, you're definitely not done, and that's definitely the case here. And more on it being a LEGO game, it has the trademark LEGO humor. You've seen the trailers have silly things in them, like Bane delivering a monologue but then steps on a Lego and is upset because of how dangerous stepping on a Lego is. And there's other moments too, with rubber ducks randomly being there, or my personal favorite, this scene.
Bane, where is he? Where is Bane? Martha! Martha? Why'd you say that name? Sorry, I mean Bane. Where is he?
The thing is, it's goofy and silly, but it's still Batman. It doesn't feel like it's not Batman or Batman is out of character. But even if he was, it's a fucking LEGO game. I think you can suspend your disbelief here. Also, you can do co-op, and it's a lot of fun. I'll admit, it's nothing out of the ordinary for LEGO games. They are all sort of made with co-op in mind, as you always have two characters, and a lot of puzzles where you need two characters, and it's better with two players. So yeah, the game is definitely built with co-op in mind, but it doesn't compromise the game in single player. It's perfectly fun by yourself, and it's fun in co-op as well. As for other things I liked, the visuals, this might just be the best looking LEGO game to date. And lastly, if I haven't mentioned it already, this game has a lot of references to Batman all throughout. I mentioned things like certain costumes referencing older comics or certain episodes of the Batman animated series, but you get stuff like the Condiment King or Kite Man making appearances. Again, they really did their homework when it came to Batman. Overall, LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight is a treat for Batman fans. Moving on to the mixed aspects, there are a few things. One being the character customization options. It's not bad, but it's kind of forgettable. To my understanding, you can customize the color of your characters and vehicles, and that's really about it. Despite my tone during that, I actually like that you can do that, but at the same time, I sort of forgot it was there. Then you also get to customize the Batcave, and I also just didn't care much for that at all. It's in the mixed segment because it was objectively cool, but I constantly forgot about it. And then there's like another thing that I'd say to be aware of with this game, and that there aren't many playable characters. This is coming off of like other LEGO Batman games, or just LEGO games in general, where there are hundreds of playable characters. In Legacy of the Dark Knight, there's Batman, of course, and then there are 6 other characters. It's worth mentioning because, again, it's a drastic change from previous LEGO games, but I think it's a fair trade because A, this game is adapting many Batman stories and wants to stay true to that, and B, all the playable characters are more fleshed out than they would have been if there were 300 characters. Even Batman feels more fleshed out than usual. And lastly, in the mixed, for a Batman game, and one that takes from all types of Batman stories, there is a surprisingly little amount of Joker in this game. I'd say this is more of a nitpick because it's not something I even noticed until writing this review, and I do like how we get to see other Batman villains aside from just Joker, but Joker is the Batman villain, so I was just expecting to see him more in this game. Again though, not a terrible issue, and that's why it's in the mixed.
Ready to get moving when you are, Batman.
Moving on to the bad, not that LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight was a broken mess or anything like that, but I did run into some technical issues. Some weird character animations, some performance issues where the game drops frames when like a lot of shit is on screen, some sounds don't play when they should, and it even crashed once. As I always say, if it crashes even once, I have to mention it. But weirdly enough, the game crashed during a cutscene, so I don't know what the fuck is up with that. The enemy AI in this game was also kinda bad at times. Like, I would walk right in front of them, and they wouldn't notice me. It was just weird. Overall, yes, LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight has technical issues, but it's not a broken mess or anything like that. What it is, however, is possibly the best LEGO Batman in terms of the content and size of the game. Very fun combat that actually expands upon the Arkham games, a massive open world, fun characters to play as, the delightful humor you get from a LEGO game, and the love that it has for the history of everyone's favorite Caped Crusader. This game is a strong recommendation to any fan of Batman, LEGO or not. In the end, I give LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight a 9 out of 10. So yeah, that's my review for LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. Throughout playing it, I was kind of thinking a 9 feels too high, but like when I was like putting together my thoughts for this review, I kind of felt like a 9 made sense. But yeah, that's my review for LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. What do you guys think of this? Do you guys like the game, not like the game? Have you guys played it, not played it? And if you haven't played it, do you guys want to play it, not want to play it? Anything about the game, let me know down below. Anyways, if you like this video, come subscribe or I will wreak havoc in your city.